Okay, so before you even think about buying that dream software business, you absolutely need to watch this. We're going to uncover the hidden dangers that can turn what looks like a great SaaS investment into a total financial nightmare. All right, picture this. You've been scrolling through listings, you've done the demos, and boom, you find it. A micro SaaS that just looks perfect. The UI is clean, the idea feels solid, but what if that polished surface is hiding a fatal flaw? What if it's a ticking time bomb, just waiting for real customers to show up? And this is where things get tricky, right? Sellers, they're always going to show you the shiny objects, the slick UI, the polished landing page, the fact that the striped checkout actually works. But the real value, and honestly, the real risk, is buried deep in the backend infrastructure that you just can't see. There's actually a name for this dangerous gap between how something looks and how it actually performs. It's called toy app syndrome. It's a SaaS that looks like a finished product on the outside, but underneath, it's really just a fragile prototype. And this right here, is the #1 reason why so many excited buyers end up with a business that's pretty much doomed to fail. So how does this trap even get set in the first place? Well, it all starts with the assets that are super easy to show off and, even easier to transfer to a new owner. Think about it. The domain, the front-end code, that nice landing page, even the Stripe account with all its recurring revenue. The thing is, all of these transfer over so easily. It's just a few clicks, really. And this creates this powerful illusion that you're buying a complete, stable business that's ready to scale up. And here is the single most important thing to remember. Just because you can take ownership of these things easily doesn't mean the business itself is solid. This is the core misunderstanding that ends up costing new owners pretty much everything. Okay, so what actually happens when one of these toy apps runs into the real world? Well, let's just say it's not pretty. Let's walk through the inevitable collapse. It always starts out great, get your first 50 users, everyone's happy. But then some automated bot finds your login page and just hammers it with thousands of requests. With no backend protection, the server immediately crashes. And because there are no logs or backups, you're not just dealing with some downtime. You're facing actual data loss and a flood of angry customers canceling their subscriptions. And this right here, it just perfectly illustrates the real reason everything fell apart. The idea wasn't bad. The marketing probably wasn't bad either. The business failed because it was built on a foundation of sand, a fragile prototype that was just disguised as a real application. So, if all those visible assets can be a trap, then where's the real value hiding? Let's dig into the invisible foundation that actually matters. Look, here's the cold, hard truth of it all. A working submit button, it proves absolutely nothing. A pretty dashboard means nothing. The real, tangible asset you're actually buying is the boring, essential, and completely invisible backend infrastructure that makes the whole thing work reliably. These are the questions you have to be asking. Is the app hardened against common attacks? Can it stop abuse from a single user? Does it actually tell you when and why it breaks? And maybe most importantly, can you recover if the worst happens? Because if the answer to these is no, let's be honest, you're not buying a business, you're buying a code experiment. So how can you protect yourself? I'm going to give you a simple 3-step reality check that anyone, and I mean anyone, even if you're not technical, can use to test if an app is truly ready for production. Seriously, forget the slick demo. Don't just take the seller's word for it. You need to make them prove the backend is resilient with these 3 simple checks. First up, you need to ask for proof of rate limiting. What is that? Well, it's basically the bouncer at the front door of your app. It's what stops one bad actor or a runaway bot from sending thousands of requests and taking your entire server down. Without it, the app is just completely exposed to basic attacks and, of course, insane server bills. Okay, next, you're going to ask a really simple question. When the app breaks, where do the error messages go? If they say something like, "Oh, I just checked the server console," that is a huge red flag. A professional system sends alerts to a centralized service like Sentry or Datadog so you know exactly why things broke and you can fix them fast. And last but definitely not least, you have to demand proof of an automated, recoverable backup plan. Yeah, I downloaded a backup once is not a plan, it's a prayer. You need to see proof of automated daily backups that are saved for at least 30 days. This is your absolute lifeline if your data ever gets corrupted or hacked. So, when you put all this together, the message becomes crystal clear, and it's what separates a smart investment from a financial disaster. I love this because it just sums up the entire risk perfectly. Your business lives or dies based on what happens when real-world chaos hits it. And let me tell you, a pretty UI can't save you from that. And this is exactly why the pros, the real marketplaces, they audit the structural code before they even list the software for sale. The whole goal is to make sure that buyers like you are investing in a real, mature asset, not a ticking time bomb that's just been dressed up in nice clothes. So look, instead of just gambling on some unverified prototype, you might want to start by exploring assets that have already been vetted for all these critical backend protections. It's a way to skip the headaches and launch your business with a whole lot more confidence. All right, so the big takeaway from all of this is pretty simple. You've got to shift your focus. Stop just looking at the polish and start inspecting the foundation. Before you ever sign a deal, ask yourself the one question that truly matters. Does this thing just look good, or is it actually built to survive?